Hello and thank you for joining us on Nationwide, reaching you live from the network service of the NTA. I am Ruth Aguela. President Muhammadu Buhari has left Abuja for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia ahead of the summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Mecca. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports that the summit, to be attended by all heads of state and governments of member countries, is the 14th in its series. King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud is hosting the summit, to be convened under the theme Mecca Al-Mukarramah Summit, hand in hand towards the future, which seeks to develop a unified stance on events in the Islamic world. President Buhari is to address the forum and underscore the need for member countries to unite and work together to combat common challenges such as terrorism and violent extremism. The president is also expected to push forward themes that have been at the forefront of his domestic and international priorities, including reviving the Lake Chad Basin, investing in Nigeria to create jobs, and financing for development. On the margins of the summit, the Nigerian leader will hold bilateral meetings with world leaders to promote increased cooperation and collaboration on issues of mutual concern. He was sent off at the airport by his Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari, Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and other senior government officials. And now the Council of Ministers of the Organization of Islamic Countries has met in Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, ahead of the meeting of the Council of Heads of States and Government. The Nigerian delegation was led by former Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyema and the Permanent Secretary at the Ministerial Ambassador Mustafa Suleiman. They spoke on the agenda of the summit and expectations.
And it's an organization that's dedicated to, it's a multilateral organization dedicated to promotion of development and peace globally around the world, and in particular in the member countries.
Now, the expectation all the time is that such forum will address these global issues as they relate to member states and try to define a framework for addressing such issues for both member nations and and globally also.
And back home in Nigeria, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has expressed gratitude to Nigerians for the trust reposed in the president and his team. The Vice President at the inauguration gala night held at the State House Conference Hall in Abuja reiterated the administration's commitment to good governance. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
It's really a moment of joy for Nigerians. 20 years down the line and the root of democracy is still growing on the Nigerian political soil. The re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari for another 4-year term and the celebration of another democratic dispensation takeoff are evidences of the people's acceptance of democratic rule in the country.
Many reasons to be happy and to celebrate our country. We passed through a successful general elections across the 36 states and the FCT that were relatively peaceful. We've had a very peaceful inaugural ceremony today, and all of those who thought Nigeria would face insurmountable challenges, I'm sure they are rethinking.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, all say thank you to Nigerians for another opportunity given to the President and his team, as well as the party, the APC.
The beauty of democracy is the orderly and civilized process of transition. But perhaps more importantly is the sanctity of and respect for the will of the people and the choice of the people. On February 23rd, the Nigerian people freely made a choice to re-elect President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term in office. It was that choice that we celebrated with pomp and pageantry this morning. We are grateful to the Almighty God for the grace by which this was made possible, and the Nigerian people for trusting us yet again. That trust will not be betrayed.
Today, we celebrate our nation. Today, we commit ourselves to the development, peaceful coexistence,
and unity in diversity. Our support is needed to make Nigeria of our dream. Let's get ready for a greater Nigeria, and let's do everything to ensure that we do not fail.
And so the bid goes on in advancing the country. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jude Onifade, NT News.
And now, as President Muhammadu Buhari begins a fresh 4-year mandate, Nigerians have continued to speak on what they hope to see in the coming months and years. Today on Good Morning Nigeria, guests discuss some of the issues that must be addressed in order to move the country forward. Abdulkarim Mohammed Zurmi has the report.
Last 4 years, the Buhari administration devoted significant energy on 3 key issues, which include the economy, fight against corruption, and security. With its mandate renewed, experts believe that the administration's task ahead is enormous, and as such, the government needs to move fast.
The administration realizes that there's actually nothing to celebrate because you are coming back to office, but that this is a time to work, to begin to address some of the serious challenges facing the nation.
I would look forward to seeing the government address these issues with speed, with greater commitment, with greater energy than we witnessed during the first 4 years.
The guests agreed that bringing in experienced, competent, and capable people who are willing to go all out to achieve results is key to the success of the administration.
At the end of the day, for me, people who are really prepared to go the extra mile in terms of leadership to get things done. This is the fundamental problem from my perspective.
The support of Nigerians, they emphasize, is also key to the administration's overall success. In Abuja, Abdulkarim Mohammed Zurmi, NTA News.
And it is a new era in Jigawa State as 2 professional accountants take charge of the state governor, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, and his deputy Umar Namadi in their agenda for this term pledge to continue on what is achieved through prudent management of state finances. Awal Muhammad Kazauri reports.
I, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, do solemnly swear.
Governor Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, in an inaugural speech, recalled the achievements of his government during the first tenure in the areas of agricultural development, healthcare delivery, empowerment, and prudent management of resources. He advised the people of the state to brace up for the challenges that will emanate from the implementation of the new minimum wage, while urging civil servants to reciprocate the gesture.
The fact that this administration has become synonymous with calculator is a pointer to our success in managing your state resources and ensuring that every kobo we spend is for the protecting unnecessary costs.
The inaugural ceremony, attended by prominent personalities and party leaders in the state, also witnessed colorful parade. From Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
And from Jigawa, we move to Zamfara State, where the government is to introduce death penalty for armed bandits, kidnappers, and their informants as part of strategy to curb the spate of insecurity in the state. Newly sworn-in governor of the state, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Maradun, announced this shortly after his inauguration in Gusau. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
Zamfara State has so far witnessed the inauguration of 6 successive democratically elected governments since the return of democratic rule in 1999. The latest event stands out as unique, considering the fact that PDP takes the mantle of leadership in the state for the first time within the past 20 years. People in the state and beyond turned out a large number to grace the historic event amidst resounding cheers and ovation.
This is one of my happiest moments politically, because with PDP government in power, inshallah, we're going to see rapid development in Zamfara State.
To be at their inauguration today, but I personally believe that this one is epochal, quite significant and historic.
A cross-section of people who spoke with NTA News described the ceremony as very historic and epoch-making event. The newly sworn-in governor, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Matawalli, identifies addressing the spate of insecurity across the state as his immediate challenge. The large crowd of people at the event is a clear demonstration of the high expectation they have for the new administration. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
The amalgamation of the Northern and Southern Protectorates by British Consul Administrator Sir Lord Frederick Lugard gave birth to Nigeria. Now, the country since independence in 1960 had experienced different kinds of leadership dominated by the military. In this report, Saliu Abdullahi takes us to the history of handover in Nigeria's democratic journey so far.
When the British colonial administrators handed over power to an indigenous leader in person of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, their ambition was for Nigeria to sustain a democratic nation. From 1960 till date, Nigeria had produced 16 presidents. The history of handover of power among Nigerian presidents could only be traced to the era of the Second Republic, when the then military head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo, handed over power to a democratically elected civilian president, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, in 1979. The Second Republic did not last, as the military, led by Major General Muhammadu Buhari, then aborted it on December 31st, 1983. After several struggles and attempts, the Third Republic would also not survive under the then military administration of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. History will forever remember General Abdulsalam Abubakar for planting the seed of democracy for the country to enjoy the current Fourth Republic from 1999 till date. Abdulsalam, though a military head of state, handed over power to a former military head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo, coincidentally 20 years after Obasanjo did same to a civilian president, Shehu Shagari. Obasanjo was president for 8 years on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. In 2007, he handed over to late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, who did not live to hand over as he died in office. His vice, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, took oath of office to complete the tenure. In 2011, Goodluck Jonathan recontested and won the election to become the 15th president of Nigeria. In a historic election in 2015, the same Goodluck Jonathan wanted re-election for another term of 4 years in office, but lost to the opposition APC, with President Muhammadu Buhari being elected as a civilian president, having served as military head of state in 1983. He became the 16th indigenous president who was re-elected a few months ago, and all is now set for him to take another oath of office in May 29th, while the ceremony follows on June 12th. As the president takes oath of office, will he hand over to another elected APC president like Obasanjo did to a PDP president having served for 8 years? Or is he going to hand over to an opposition just like Goodluck Jonathan did come 2023? Only time shall tell. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And while you ponder on that, let's now go to Lagos, where Jennifer is standing by with more reports on Nationwide. Good day, Jennifer.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to Lagos. Nigeria and the State of Israel have entered into an agreement to upscale activities in the health sector in Nigeria. This is to enable the facilitation of information sharing and regulation of medicines. The agreement was signed during a bilateral capacity building seminar for senior staff of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, in Lagos. Email Dory report is here compiled from our studio.
The importance of having quality medicines in Nigeria is one major area by the regulatory agency to ensure that the health of Nigerians is safeguarded. This is why NAFDAC is working towards strengthening local production, access to essential medicines, services. Quality of care and medicine to the growing population in the country has remained a challenge. The collaboration between the Ministries of Health of the State of Israel and Nigeria through NAFDAC is the first step to taking the health sector in Nigeria to the next level.
If you got the right knowledge, if you got the right prescription or medicine, So for me, this seminar, this is about knowledge.
Part of this seminar focused on track and trace. NAFDAC is going to be the center, and we have to make sure that adverse events that may be happening anywhere in the country is reported to NAFDAC so that we will have a record of what is going on with different medicines.
It is the government sharing their knowledge in this aspect of care and imparting such knowledge to Nigerians. And at the end of the day, it's the Nigerians that benefit because then their safety is ensured.
The seminar focused on improving capacity in serialization and pharmacovigilance in the Nigerian healthcare system.
Now, the need for strict adherence to stringent sanctions for persons who indulge in abortion has again been advocated. Members of a non-governmental organization, Foundation for African Cultural Heritage, and some civil society organizations in Nigeria stated this at a forum tagged End the War on Children in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports.
Life, they say, begins at the very stage a child is conceived. In other words, even the fetus is assumed to have a life. Terminating this life at whatever stage or shape is assumed to be culturally, religiously, medically, and criminally wicked and unacceptable. It is against this background that these organizations are emphasizing strict adherence to the application of sanctions on anyone or groups caught indulging or perpetrating in the act of abortion.
Abortion is morally wrong. You don't have to lay down that many scientific facts to make it obvious that abortion is wrong. It's traumatic.
There's someone who I know that she aborted the child because she and her husband wanted to enjoy life. They weren't ready for a child. Until today, she hasn't found a child.
Abortion is capital no. Islam hasn't allowed us to be able to abort any of pregnancy.
In a related development, parental care for teenagers, especially at their formative stages, have been re-emphasized. This is at 10th Development Forum tagged The African Teenager and Endangered Species, as issues relating to drug abuse, prostitution, teenage pregnancy, and cybercrime associated with teenagers are said to be what make them endangered.
We have to, put together some solutions that can curb this menace.
The event had in attendance legal and medical practitioners, academics, counselors, and other experts. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Now, another set of Nigerians have been empowered in the ongoing federal government skill acquisition program for youth and women in agricultural capital project. Annie Daniels has details.
The nationwide federal government-initiated training program is facilitated by the Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology, Lagos. Participants drawn from all 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, were put through the rudiments of fish farming, ornamental fish production, and exploitation inclusive.
We've seen a lot of success in the ones that have practiced, that are practicing what they have, the skills they were imparted on over these years.
My experience some time ago when I was outside was quite a very interesting one. Instead of their own drainage to be made of all those debris that we put in ours, or we allow to flow in ours, they put in some ornamental fishes.
Water quality management, nutrients requirement, fish feed formulation and production were among courses the participants were exposed to.
We were taught how to open the male fish and locate the testes and actually bring it out and use the meat to fertilize the female fishes.
I can even help the community because from the knowledge that I acquire now, there is some they couldn't have the opportunity to attempt this training.
At the end of the training, participants were presented with certificates and cash sum to start off the project. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Lagos. Back to Ruth in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Jennifer, and welcome back to Abuja. And now to legislative matters. The Senate has confirmed the nomination of Musa Abubakar Sadiq as President of the Federal Capital Territory Customary Court of Appeal. Ignatius Nkwo tells us more.
Well, 14 days to the end of the life of the 8th Senate, the Senate has performed one crucial constitutional function, that is confirmation of a nominee from the President. Well, as soon as the Senate reconvened for Thursday's plenary, it received executive communication from the President requesting the confirmation of Musa Abubakar Sadiq as the President of the Federal Capital Territory Customary Court of Appeal. Well, within 40 minutes, the Senate considered the request and then approved the confirmation. And then the nominee presented his resume, born in 1957 in Abuja here in the Federal Capital Territory. Senators described his resume as satisfactory. One of the senators who really commented when that screening was ongoing is Senator Jibrin Barau. He's here to tell us why they accelerated hearing on that confirmation.
Well, you see, that's what we always advise, that whenever Mr. President is bringing nominee or nominees to us, there should be proper background checks, especially in respect to the suitability of such a nominee or such nominees. And the President exactly did what we always advise him to do. He brought a nominee that has an outstanding judicial pedigree.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, the Senate also adopted a motion by Senator Victor Ume, which called on the federal government to suspend or not to consider the planned downgrading of Kanobiam International Airport in Enugu with quite vivid reasons, which the senators also concurred with that motion. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ignatius. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so now that motion, basically, you're asking the federal government and the Ministry of Aviation to suspend the planned downgrading of Kanobiam International Airport. Now, can you tell us some of the challenges and reasons they gave for this? Have they been addressed?
Well, the airport certainly needs a lot of support. We unfortunately also missed out in the Chinese loan for airport upgrades in Nigeria. So the motion was aimed at addressing the need to suspend any threat of downgrading, but to rather bring the government to work and make the airport be like others, or even better if it's possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the Senate also approved the report of its committee on petroleum downstream, which recommend that the federal government should pay the sum of 129 billion to petroleum marketers for their subsidy claims. This is what we have for you at the moment.
Thank you, Ignatius, for those updates. And now, an executive order is set to give effect to the withdrawal of licenses of registered gun owners dominated debate at Thursday's plenary at the House of Representatives. The issue brought up as a matter of urgent public importance by Representative Inenna Elendu Ukeje elicited comments from lawmakers who pointed out that most crimes committed are usually with illegally acquired firearms. The lawmakers therefore urged that the decision to withdraw the license be rescinded because legal gun owners have indeed helped in crime prevention. Meanwhile, the House Committee on Army laid at plenary the report of an investigation carried out concerning alleged murder of unarmed civilians by security personnel. We'll now take a pause for some messages. The news continues shortly. Do stay with us.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
NTA Television College Jos announces admissions into 2-year diploma programs in film and television production, television engineering, and broadcast journalism. The sale of forms will commence on the 13th of May and run through 30th July 2019. Admission forms can be obtained from all marketing offices, NTA state capital stations, zonal centers, or at the office of the academic secretary, NTA Television College, Rayfield, Jos.
On payment of a non-refundable fee of 7,500 naira in bank draft in favor of NTA TV College. Applicants can also obtain the forms through the NTA TV College portal at www.ntatvc.edu.nj.
Applicants are required to possess 5 credits in GCE or SSCE in relevant areas of study in not more than 2 sittings, including English and mathematics. All properly completed forms attached with photocopies of credentials must be submitted on or before 30th July 2019. For further inquiries, please visit our website at ntatvc.com or call 0803 3144 383.
NTA TV College, training you to be the best you want to be.
Registrar Announcer.
One Football Confederation, 24 teams, 6 stadiums, 4 cities, 504 African stars, 1 trophy. The Africa Cup of Nations Egypt 2019 comes alive from June 21 with the showpiece final on July 19, 2019. Watch the 52 matches of the tournament live on Africa's biggest and largest television network, NTA, in partnership with Hot Sports. Be part of the biggest soccer fiesta in the African continent as the Super Eagles go on a bold mission to clinch the prestigious title for the 4th time, to the excitement of millions of fans across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Nigeria's premier sports production and marketing group, Hot Sports, partners with the biggest, the largest, and the #1 television network in Africa, the NTA, to give Nigerians a memorable viewing experience. Boost fan support for the Super Eagles to glory in Egypt. For inquiries, please contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Thank you for staying tuned. Bayelsa State Governor Siriake Dixon has urged the political class to honor the sanctity of the judiciary in order to preserve the nation's democracy. This was at the swearing-in of 2 new judges in Government House, Yenagoa. Ebinimi Zetine Miola reports.
The judiciary is known to be the last hope for the common man and the bulwark upon which democracies strive. Of late, it has been at the receiving ends of attacks and criticism by the citizens in the course of the discharge of their constitutional duties. Commentators identify slow dispensation of justice caused by inadequate manpower and poor working conditions as a major challenge facing this very important arm of government. It is in this regard that the appointment of more judges in Bayelsa State for effective justice delivery is highly commendable. At the swearing-in ceremony of 2 new judges, Inenkineme Uzaka, former Chief Registrar of the High Court of Bayelsa State, and Tamudu Abasi, former Director of Civil Litigation, Ministry of Justice, Governor Siriake Dixon reminded them to administer justice without fear or favor.
Not to use the law to add to the terrible conditions, circumstances under which they are living. The law should be a servant of God. The law should be a defender of God.
We have judges that are retired, and unfortunately we also have a judge that passed away. So with this appointment, now we have those vacancies at least have been filled.
The governor also stated that necessary steps are on for the establishment of a division of the Court of Appeal in the state. In Government House, Yanagwa, Ebinimi, Zitimiola, NTA News.
And reactions have continued to trail a collapsed building in Amara Extension Street at the heart of Owerri City. Reina Ohiri, who visited the scene, has details.
The two-story building is said to have been under construction for over 20 years due to a court litigation between the owners. Some eyewitnesses said that the 3 persons who were in the building when it collapsed managed to escape with injuries.
There were 2 guys up. So 2 of them climbed up, one were making calls. So he called the other one down to come up. I don't know what he wanted to show him. So as he was climbing, the second person noticed that the building has started collapsing from weather, running at the speed of light. They jumped the other way around.
The chairman of Nigeria Institute of Architects, Imo State Chapter, Dr. Basil Agon, has said there is no doubt that lack of quality materials and abandonment of the building under rain and sun for over 2 decades now resulted to the collapse.
This building may not have been designed or supervised by professionals. So ab initio, it has problems.
Efforts to reach the owners of the building and the victims proved abortive.
Those carrying out one building project or the other to ensure that their jobs are being carried out with standard materials to avoid hazards like this. From Owerri, Reina Ohiri, NTA News.
And from Imo, we move to Kaduna State, where governor's wife reaches out to VVF patients. You get this and all the stories as we join Zulay in Kaduna for details. Hello, Zulay and Zulay.
Thank you, Ruth. Good evening and welcome to Kaduna. Severe physical and emotional pains, isolation and stigmatization are some of the traumatizing realities patients of VVF live with. This, according to the wife of Kaduna State Governor, Aisha Ummi El-Rufai, calls for urgent intervention. Benny Adams reports.
Hurira Abdusalam is a survivor of VVF. She is 32 years of age and have spent 2 years in this facility as a result of delayed labor from delivery of her 7th child. More disturbing is the case of Murja, who can't remember when she was married off. She has been operated 3 times and now awaiting the 4th surgery as a result of complications during her first delivery, a condition she has been battling with for the last 8 years. These stories are similar to about 12,000 young women in Kaduna awaiting medical care as a result of obstetric fistula. Behind every of this number is a story of loss, trauma, and unfulfilled dreams, as some get to be healed after surgery and some get to live with the condition for the rest of their lives.
Usually people think that early marriage causes it. But with the research now, it's not really the early marriage. If you marry early, you are pregnant, you can come to the hospital. Then the hospital will know what to do.
For wife of the governor, the need for mothers to take care of their daughters is key.
Please stop the stigmatization of women with VVF. It is a terrible thing. It's easy for me to get treated if I have the disease or the problem. But damaging my self-esteem and confidence could affect me for the rest of my life.
Survival packs containing sanitary materials were presented to the survivors. In Kaduna, Benny Adams, NTA News.
And to crime, the Kaduna State Police Command is steadily recording harvest of successes in its renewed onslaught against criminals. This is sequel to the fresh arrest of over 70 suspects of various crimes, not long after a large number of suspects and dangerous weapons were paraded in the state by the first public relations officer, Frank Mba. Achari Maxwell reports.
In the face of sustained efforts to recoup peace amidst diversity in Kaduna State, the likes of Najib Isa and Umrana keep undermining the peace enterprise by good-spirited people and institutions. 20-year-old Najib was alleged to have drawn his brother to death after snatching from him 30,000 naira errand money their father gave him to deliver.
We took my brother to the river and drowned him. 3 months after, our father handed us over to the police.
They were paraded alongside 72 other suspects for their alleged involvement in kidnapping, armed robbery, criminal conspiracy, possession of dangerous weapons, and vandalism, among other acts of crime.
Kidnapping and banditry will never allow them to happen here in Kaduna too. I will be on their neck. We will pursue them. Kaduna will never be a safe haven for them. Rather, if they will go to Kaduna, I will advise them to relocate to another state, not Kaduna State.
Also paraded was Musa Imam, the suspect that jumped bail in Lagos and instigated mob action against his shorties at Kawo Bridge, resulting to the death of 3 persons. Weapons, 5 vehicles, 3 motorcycles, television sets, electric cables, psychotropic substances were among items recovered from the suspect. In Kaduna, Atari Maxwell, NTA News.
And that's it from here. We're back to Ruth in Abuja for the rest of Nationwide. Good evening.
Thank you, Zulay. Now, the burden of violence and underdevelopment in the north is being addressed by non-governmental organizations who feel government needs support to overcome the challenges. Abidu Yunusa reports.
In the past, the North used to pride itself in its moral values, resourcefulness, and peaceful coexistence. The region now grapples with myriads of challenges, which prompted this group to think of how to revitalize and restore the lost glories of the region. The founder of the organization, Horera Musa, is advocating collective efforts and commitment from all to address social and societal ills stagnating the development of northern Nigeria.
Our goal is to come together using our intellectual abilities and standings to fix the menace happening in our region. This is achievable because of the network we have and can leverage on.
The organization is also pledging to actively contribute to initiatives that will develop northern Nigeria through cooperation, dialogue, training, and empowerment. In Abuja, Abidu Yunusa, NTA News.
Efforts by the Nigerian Navy NNS Jubilee to curb maritime crimes within the coastal lines of Akwa Ibom State have resulted in the arrest of suspected criminals engaged in illegal bunkering activities in Ikot Abasi local government area of the state. Executive Officer NNS Jubilee Navy Captain Badamosi Yauza says the step is in line with federal government's directive on ending all forms of illegality along the nation's maritime domain. Calvin Samuel reports.
The recovery of 306 drums of crude oil, fully loaded 40,000-litre capacity truck, and 3 wooden boats, among other items, is a clear evidence of the violation of the nation's territorial integrity by criminals. The raid at various locations in Ikotabas local government area is in line with the Chief of Naval Staff Directive for effective security of Nigerian maritime environment in order to ensure the economic growth of the country. The Executive Officer NNS Jubilee assures that the command is doing everything within its powers to sanitize the waterways.
These arrests are indicative of the resolve and determination of the Nigerian Navy to fight the menace of crude oil theft and other illegality.
With the exhibit presented and proper documentation of suspects, the Deputy Zonal Head EFCC Uyo Zone, Alex Eba, assures that his team will ensure proper investigation and prosecution of the suspects.
We have also inspected them. We have also seen the suspects here to ensure that we come up with a common charge that will be able to take the offense.
From Ikotabas local government area of Akwa Ibom State, Calvin Samuel, NTA News.
And from Uyo, we move to Enugu, where Chinenye is standing by for details of this, details on Nationwide. Hello, Chinenye. Good to see you.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to Enugu. Anambra State government, in partnership with the United Nations Population Fund, has provided additional intervention for victims of the 2018 flood disaster in the state, which Anaweko reports that aside relief materials, the victims benefited from a week-long free medical treatment.
Anambra State is one of the 12 states affected by the 2018 flood disaster. In the state, 10 local government areas were worst hit. Agents of the state government as well as officials of the United Nations Population Fund are visiting the victims with a view to providing succor, especially for women and children. The team was at Ekusigo local government headquarters, Ozoblo, where free medical treatment and insecticide-treated nets were given to the victims.
The women and children are mostly the vulnerable. Whatever program we are seeing today, we will sustain it and will continue to promote it for the betterment of our people.
What we do is to work with state government to support them in their development aspiration.
We have not gone to a stage where we can say there will be no more flood. Even this year, there are signs that there will be flood. But the only lesson we are learning is that we need to be more prepared so it won't take long before the leaves come.
Healthcare providers said cases of hypertension, blood sugar, and malaria have been discovered, especially among women and the aged.
Our advice is they should continue living a healthy life. They should access the primary health care in their facility.
Beneficiaries, while applauding the government for showing them love, also appealed for more proactive measures towards mitigating the impact of flood, especially in riverine communities. Zublo in Ekusigo local government area, Uchenna Nwekoyo, NTA News.
Nigeria has been rated by the World Culture Score Index as one of the countries with the lowest reading culture in the world. What is responsible for this trend and what is the way out? These are the issues being examined by Beauty Ihobamian in this report.
Available statistics from the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education has it that 38% of Nigerians are non-literate, as 4 in 10 primary school children cannot read for comprehension. Studies show a downturn in reading, especially given the onslaught of digital revolution, resulting to the influx of new technology, which has altered the disposition of reading.
So many people are engulfed with phones, their iPad, a whole lot of things, a whole lot of distraction.
Of recent, reading culture, according to educationists, has suffered due to widespread poverty, corruption, ineptitude, and dearth of dedicated reading spaces such as library. The decline in reading has affected the standard of education as reflected in the abysmal results of external examinations, upsurge in crime and social vices. What is the way out?
Everybody get interested. Let's have more library. Let's have books. Instead of buying them things for birthday presents, that's what I always admonish. Give them books.
Educationists are of the opinion that with the right structure and sincere determination, the country can build a society of intellectuals because a reading nation is a knowledgeable, tolerant, and violence-free society.
In Enugu, Beauty Ihobamian, NTA News.
The Police Commissioner Enugu State Command, Suleiman Balarabe, has paraded some suspected criminals terrorizing Enugu and its environs. Briefing journalists in Enugu, the Commissioner said it is part of the efforts to ensure that Enugu remains one of the safest states in Nigeria. Nana Igwe was there and now reports.
Items recovered from the suspected criminals, laptops, armored cables, among other weapons. The arrested gangs are members of Vikings courtesan group meeting at WTC Primary School, new layouts. A kidnapper from River State who kidnapped a 6-year-old boy and also one other suspect was arrested for producing a locally made pistol. The police commissioner said the command was able to record these achievements within 21 days and the stop and check logs.
The command is not a place for the criminal. We are wanting them to stay away of any state.
Some of the arrested criminals confessed to the crimes. Also, in another development, the police commissioner frowned at the group known as the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, calling for a sit at home.
The police and other sister security agencies will all come out to do their duties. And for all the other citizens, they are to disregard that announcement because they should be going to be protected.
He urged residents to go about their normal businesses without fear of molestation. He also warned the group to desist from such acts as the law will catch up with them. In Enugu, Nena Igwe, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Enugu. Nationwide continues in Abuja after this commercial break. Do stay tuned.
One Football Confederation,
24 teams, 6 stadiums, 4 cities, 504 African stars, 1 trophy. The Africa Cup of Nations Egypt 2019 comes alive from June 21 with the showpiece final on July 19, 2019. Watch the 52 matches of the tournament live on Africa's biggest and largest television network, NTA, in partnership with Hotsports. Be part of the biggest soccer fiesta in the African continent as the Super Eagles go on a bold mission to clinch the prestigious title for the 4th time, to the excitement of millions of fans across the length and breadth of Nigeria. For inquiries, please contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
The Nigerian national flag is a sacred national symbol. It is a mark of patriotism and a show of love for our nation to fly the national flag correctly, in the right colors, right dimension, and in the right sizes for each occasion. In recent times, it has been noticed that government offices, corporate organizations, banks, embassies, and other notable institutions fly faded, shredded, and haggard-looking versions of the national flag. This is wrong and must stop. It has also been noticed that some citizens prefer to popularize the national flag of other nations. Fellow countrymen and women, let us be patriotic. Come, let us show love for our motherland. Fly the correct versions of our national flag in all relevant places. Be patriotic. Be proud ambassadors of our great country.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Get the latest news and updates from across Nigeria on NTA Nationwide. NTA Nationwide, weekdays by 4 p.m. Get it first. Get it fresh.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, Nigerians have been reassured that the next level agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, which is the second phase of his change agenda, will again be strategically targeted at impacting the generality of the people positively. Now, this reassurance came from the Muhammadu Buhari Oshibajo Dynamic Support Group. Timothy Yusuf reports.
During a visit of members of the Muhammadu Buhari Osinbajo Dynamic Support Group on President Muhammadu Buhari on the 21st of December 2018, the group sought his endorsement to commence appraisal visit to selected government ministries, departments and agencies, so as to ascertain the level of their compliance to the change agenda of President Buhari in the last 4 years. This visit by the support group to the National Lottery Fund Commission marks the beginning of the appraisal initiative.
What agencies will now function so that Nigeria will have employment, will have to take the street, the youth from the street, so that they will not cause all this Boko Haram and all this headsmen kidnapping.
I would like to encourage your delegation to send this message to Nigeria that indeed National Lottery Trust Fund has come to stay.
The Executive Secretary of the National Lottery Trust Fund, Bello Megiri, assured Nigerians of the agency's commitment to supporting the genuine desire of President Buhari to make the country better. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
As part of efforts to review the performance of previous mobilization exercises and identify challenges with the aim of providing lasting solutions, the National Youth Service Corps organized a 2019 Batch B pre-mobilization workshop in Abuja.
During the 2019 Batch April mobilization workshop with stakeholders, the NYSC brought to the attention of all key players engaged in the entire mobilization process the issue of mobilization of unqualified graduates by some core-producing institutions. Other issues raised include disparity in their course of study, statements of results, as well as abuse in the process of change of name by prospective core members.
This we intend to address with the critical stakeholders and come up with lasting solutions to the challenges encountered during previous uploads.
With the theme, Achieving Greater Efficiency in the NYSC Mobilization Process, the role of stakeholders, it is time to move the ICT-driven mobilization process to the next level.
The lessons learned from the implementation of decisions reached at various workshops are expected to influence our deliberations towards a better performance in the next mobilization exercise.
The administration shall continue to support the NYSC within the limits of available resources.
The workshop had in attendance stakeholders in the education sector, student affairs officers of tertiary institutions, deployment and relocation officers of the NYSC from the NYSC secretariats across the country. Olayinka Uju, NTA News.
Now, in a bid to tackle the challenges militating against farmers' output in the production of cocoa and bring Nigeria back to her position of pride as one of the main producing countries in Africa, cocoa farmers in Niger Delta region are being equipped with latest modern techniques to boost their yields. These and many more are the thrust of a cocoa roundtable discussion on development strategies on improved cocoa value chain in the region. Doris Olumoko reports.
Tremendous opportunities abound in Nigerian cocoa sector, but persistent low cocoa productivity, absence of institutional control and administrative inefficiencies in the sector are resulting in low profitability for actors in the cocoa value chain. This Cocoa Stakeholders Roundtable, therefore, provides a platform for stakeholders to address issues like poor cocoa bean quality and regulation in the sector. The forum articulated some of the actions to be taken moving forward.
Provision of modern fermentation and sun-drying equipment are part of our measures to bring about increase in production both in quantity and quality, with common mutual incentives. That the industry will have a strong supporting service providers delivering inputs, extension technologies, smallholder farmers need to upgrade, leading to increased productivity.
The stakeholders unanimously agreed that there is need for the establishment of a cocoa steering committee comprising both public and private sector actors for the implementation of recommended action points. About 78% of cocoa produced in Nigeria comes from the Niger Delta region, with Ondo and Cross River states accounting for 70% of Nigeria's cocoa production. In Akure, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
And now let's take sports updates with Kene Ima Abodike.
Flying Eagles of Nigeria must aim for a win or at worst a draw against Ukraine Thursday evening to have any chance of remaining in contention at the ongoing FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Poland. At 6 points after 2 wins, Ukraine are already into the second round from Group D, but Nigeria and the United States, who are tied at 3 points after 1 win, need to avoid defeat in tonight's final group match to progress either as second-place finishers or lucky losers. Meanwhile, Nigeria international and FC Molde of Norway striker Leke James is reckoning with the chances of playing for the Super Eagles in the near future. The 26-year-old, who was signed by former FC Molde manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the summer of 2018, believes he has a lot to offer the 3-time African champions.
The effort I would say I'm putting in is working hard to better my game day by day, to improve on what I do. I'm expecting that, okay, hopefully one day I will get an invite or a call-up to the national team.
The Nigeria Gymnastics Federation is set for camping ahead of this year's All-African Games in Rabat, Morocco, following the conclusion of its National Open competition in Abuja Tuesday. The federation is targeting gold medals in all categories of the event in Rabat.
Nothing going to Morocco this time is going to be different from the other time. Definitely we are coming with gold, not silver, gold. Because I know the stuff that we have. We have them, not all of them that is there today. Some of them are in other countries.
The competition also featured a seminar for officials of the sports. With Sports Update, Kenan Ima Abodike, NTA News.
And now let's take a look at the weather prospect for Friday in Abuja and other cities. And that wraps up Nationwide for today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And do have a pleasant evening. I am Ruth Aguele.